I think we're headed towards revenue sharing in 10 years. I think it'll be more along the lines of unionized labor. You have to talk less they don't.
I don't want to talk about revenue sharing.
No. It's in the courts.
Well, that was how I felt, and then I got a little bit reprimanded.
Oh, did you?
No.
It's not really a secret anymore.
Norbert's is having a sale. Their October special is 10% off all the rockers. So, you know, they have that one that looks like a rainbow, and they have the one that looks like a turtle, and they have one that looks like an orange. They have fruit now. They have really long ones too. So anyway, check it out. Go to norberts.com for a 10% discount on anything in their store with the code GYMCASTIC. Norbert's is also giving away a $50 Norbert's gift card that can be used in anything in their online store, no minimum. Just follow Norbert's Athletic on Instagram and comment on the giveaway post. This show is PG-13, so you probably will hear a naughty word or two, just so you know. A World Cup happened, Spencer. And it was an artistry throwdown, I would say, and also had interesting things. So we'll talk about the Szombathely World Cup. The documentary about LSU's NIL rise, the name, image, likeness revolution. It's called The Money Game, is out now, and I have lots to tell you after watching the first 2 episodes. It is October 7th. 2024, and welcome to the #1 gymnastics podcast in the galaxy. I'm Jessica, and I'm Spencer from the Balance Beam Situation, and let us talk about what's happening in the gymternet news first. So let's get the dumpster fire news out of the way.
Get it out of there. Get it out of the way. Yeah.
Number 1, Ohio State has basically they've cut all the men's gymnastics scholarships.
They still have a team. They're just like, we don't give you any scholarships anymore.
Right.
Which is also one of the things, the nuances about the new scholarship rules that are going into effect for the 2026 gymnastics season, which is, the women's scholarship limit is changing from 12 to 20, but schools have to do that. They have to give those scholarships, and they're not always going to be willing to do that, as evidenced by Ohio State just being like, men's gymnastics, you don't have any scholarships anymore.
Yeah. I feel really bad for them. Let's see. Intrepid Gymnastics is being sued by the EEOC. So this is the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. And I'm familiar with the EEOC because I have had to make a complaint to them about a gym that I worked for before who was not paying us fairly. But this is like rare for it to make the news. So this is Intrepid Gymnastics in Mississippi, Horn Lake. So for the EEOC to take action is a big deal. The suit claims that the company's president and majority owner subjected employees to sexual harassment, made sexual advances, offered money for sex, asked them to procure other female employees for group sex, and sent sexually charged messages. Jesus Christ, that's horrible. This is according to WTVA News. Indian gymnast Pranay Nayak has accused the Gymnastics Federation of India of favoritism and malpractice, alleging she was denied participation in the FIG World Cup Challenge Cup, the one that we're going to talk about, the Szombathely World Cup. It's really interesting that Indian gymnasts and like the wrestlers in India also are very much standing up for themselves, because this is a problem everywhere and in many countries. And yeah, they're not staying silent. Okay, so we have some non-dumpster fire news.
Okay.
Dipa Karmakar, also of India, has announced her retirement.
Famous for her Protonova.
The ones we're like, Protonova. Emma Spence announces retirement from elite gymnastics, so she's focusing on her last year of NCAA in Nebraska. Oh my God, Spencer, I'm so excited about this.
Tell me.
Beam queen of flexibility and interesting combinations, Helen Hu is coming back to Missouri.
Whoa. Big idea.
She was like, I'm done. I'm retiring. Now she's back.
Missouri's like, so Sienna Schreiber's gone now because she's done with her eligibility. We would like a beautiful beam routine on our team. Can you Helen Hu that out for us, please? It's going to be very interesting to watch Missouri this year. Tons of transfers, tons of freshmen, Helen Hu coming back, potential for a revamped roster. They still have some great returning gymnasts like Jocelyn Moore, Mari Celestine, but no Sienna Schreiber anymore. And it's like, all right, what are we going to do about this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really excited about this. I'm also wondering what, if she was there already, still doing like a master's, or what they offered her. She got a good NIL deal, or if she was just like, the world needs my beam, and also I should
The
go
world
to
needs this.
Needs it. And also I should go to Cirque du Soleil after this and be a professional at just being beautiful and doing creative things. And so
it was very interesting because Helen Hu stopped. She wasn't on the roster last season, so we didn't see her, but she had stopped after her 4 years when she had more eligibility. She had a whole season where she wasn't able to compete, COVID year, like there was more eligibility for her. So it was interesting that she didn't continue in 2024, but now she's back.
I'm so excited for this. The bobbleheads are coming. Finally. The bobblehead
finally, or is it?
No, they've had women bobbleheads before, but hopefully these will be good bobbleheads. So we have Jordan Chiles, Brody Malone, Frederick. 3 dudes are getting bobbleheads, and Jordan Chiles, Brody Malone, Frederick Richard, and Asher Hong. They're all getting bobbleheads. Look forward to it.
Is it going to be like the Sarah Finnegan LSU bobblehead that looked like Pete Buttigieg?
See, that's the thing I'm worried about. Maybe it'll be as good as the Little Sue's bobblehead, which actually looks like her. And I think it's not. I think it is not. Let me grab it. I think it's not actually a. You guys, did you know I have a Little Sue's? It's not a bobblehead. This is why.
That's a trophy.
And I have the replica rings too.
And by Little Sue's, by the way, Jessica is talking about Suzanne Jacqueline. It's a mini statue of Suzanne Jacqueline.
Yeah, it is a mini statue. It's not a bobblehead, but it like really looks like her. Like it's very, very well done. Like if you're gonna have a statue made, who made this? It doesn't say, but I'm so impressed with it.
Actual Suzanne Jacqueline statue is not ideal.
No, it's not great. There is an actual full-size statue. I'm trying to see who made this, but I mean, bobblehead. This is the quality I expect from you, except larger. Okay, so Simone Biles documentary part 2. I feel like a lot of people didn't know that there was a part 2, but there is a part 2. And it's coming out. Simone Biles Rising on Netflix. Part 2 is coming out on October 25th. And we will have, do something special like we did last time, have Katie back on to talk about it, the director. I'm very excited because it's all about what happened in Paris. All the Paris stuff.
And we know they had like critical footage for the Jordan Chiles thing also. Yes. So I'm very interested to see if that figures into the documentary, if that's like a separate thing.
Yep. Jade Carey, just so you know, because we were talking about this in behind the scenes and someone asked, where's the Jade Carey merch? She has shirts at Walmart. So I assume Walmart has paid her a licensing fee and is doing everything on the up and up because Walmart. So yeah, if you want a Jade Carey shirt, they have them at Walmart. You think they've got to have something at Oregon State too.
But are they basic? That's
they are. I can't stand these new shirts that are just made by like sports companies and they're not made by the gymnastics community. I like the stuff that like we have in our store and the stuff that the community has created an aesthetic, and what they're doing is not that. Like it's basically like 1980s concert t-shirts. It would like look good like a piece of wall art that has like pictures of the gymnast in various configurations, but as a t-shirt, I don't like them. They're all the same. Like I think it's one company doing them all because they all look the same, whether you're getting one for Oklahoma gymnast or the Jade Carey or whoever. Yeah. I mean, the gymnasts look great on them, but I just don't care for the style. There's an article, we talked about this on behind the scenes too. Suni was named Glamour Woman of the Year in Glamour.
Obviously.
And she says, quote, nobody knows this, but the week before the Olympic trials, I had to get an infusion because I went into a relapse. She was getting, Lee says, and then she says she was getting tired fast. Practices were getting harder and her body was swelling up again, which we know how bad her swelling was before. Like she couldn't get her grips on. So that's very scary. And I'm so glad that didn't happen during the Olympics. This is another reason why we should have at least one credential for an alternate to be able to be there with the team in case something happens. We've talked about this extensively during the Paris Olympics and for many years, like it's like, once the meets start, you effectively can't use any alternates and it's a mess and we need to change that. because of the credentialing system. So also replying to our tweet, Suni said, and then getting COVID the week after Olympic trials. Yeah, she went through
going great.
A lot. Yeah. She also said
there's a lot of questions about like why is Suni not on the tour? What's Suni doing now? And I'm like, Suni needs to like give the woman a break.
Exactly. Also, I just knocked my air purifier off, so that made like a loud noise. I'm spilling stuff. I knocked my air purifier off. But yeah, she also talked about how she about that meeting that we had asked questions about during the press conference in Paris, where, you know, Jordan was like, she called a meeting effectively and was like, Suni's freaking out, went to Simone and was like, Suni's freaking out. We need to talk to her. And Suni was like, no, it's just, in this interview, she says, you know, it's just normal for me to have like an emotional cry before a meet because I'm just getting all my stress out. But they weren't used to that. So they were like, she doesn't believe in herself. They had to like give her a pump up talk. So I love that, because who doesn't always need a pump up talk in their life? Other elite gymnastics
Jordan, that's like a solid career plan for Jordan Chiles, is just professional pump up talks.
Like Flava Flav. That's his whole thing. He's just a hype man. Like, I love that. He's made a whole career. He's like a bazillionaire off of just being a hype man. She needs like something like, does she need like a clock or like a, you know, like the stick crowns? No, she's just Jordan. She doesn't need, that's too basic.
Yeah.
Sarah Jantzi, who has coached Grace McCollum and Maggie Nichols, has joined Pacific Reign. So she's left Minnesota, and now she is coaching where Jayla Hang and Simone Rose coach or train. They probably
they coach themselves. Jayla Hang and Simone Rose famously coach themselves. This is very interesting to me. So my perception, correct me if I'm wrong, because this is just an outsider perception, is that this is a huge culture change in gym. Is that I think it's going to be interesting to watch, is what I have about that. That's my like perception.
Culture change that coaches are moving instead of gymnasts moving?
No, like her specifically going from Twin City Twisters to Pacific Reign.
Oh, will be
that's
a big
like
culture change.
A big shift.
We shall see.
But I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. I'm very interested to see all this movement.
Yep. NCAA championships are going to be in Fort Worth forever. It's like blah, blah, Fort Worth.
They announced that it's going to be in Fort Worth in 2027, but 2028 was still TBD. So
2028 needs to be
far away, but like maybe we can see a different city.
Here's the thing.
I will say, Fort Worth, you have a lovely walkable downtown.
I know, it's so nice.
We crumb on it because we have to go there so often, and it's always the same place. But like,
it's such a nice place.
I do like the walkability of your downtown.
Yep. And you really don't even have to stay right in the middle of downtown, and you can still, it's like a 5-minute walk to the little downtown and can walk everywhere. It is, I love when we are able to go to cities like that, but are also like very accessible and have lots of little like shops and, you know, good restaurants.
Like, rotate. Let's go to some different ones.
But there are many little towns like this in the United States. But we do have our favorite theater in Fort Worth, and we love them for our live show. But I feel like 2028 should be in the you know, Secret Money Credits Arena in LA. What's it called? Secret Money Crypto Arena, whatever. It's where the Olympics are going to be. And it's a crummy area, but it should be the test event basically for the Olympics. Should be there. That's how
I mean, you're crummy. I love that you're calling it a crummy area, because I'm like, oh my god, I could think of so many crummier areas than where that is.
But I mean, it's like if you walk like one street away at night, it's like murder.
Oh, don't walk it. Oh my god, don't walk at night. Are you kidding me?
Right. Never walk.
For those coming to the 2028 Olympics, do not walk at night.
I just met with a friend who went to the Simone's the goat tour there, and then we met for dinner. And I was like, I know we're really selling it here with what a great area it is to have a gymnastics.
Oh, I mean, if you're not gonna like make fun of where you live, I don't understand. I don't understand people who have civic pride, is what I'm saying.
Right, me either.
If you're not gonna talk about how awful your own city is, then what do you have to say?
Right, like I also love the Bay Area, but I would never walk alone at night anywhere in San Francisco. Just don't do that. Yeah, but anyway, we met for dinner, and he walked from the arena to where we're meeting, and I was like, oh God, don't walk down here. You should have literally taken an Uber like 1 mile, or whatever, the half a mile. Yeah, and he was like, it's like the apocalypse. I was like, yes, well, there you go. Welcome to many downtowns in the United States. Frederick Richard has made the Time 100 Next list, which is what I've been saying. Frederick Richard, you love Goggles Guy. You love Nedoroshic. Wait till you see what Frederick Richard is going to do. That's all I'm saying. Nikita Nagorny, not surprisingly, Russian gymnast who has gifted drones to the military invading Ukraine, has been elected the vice president of the Russian Gymnastics Federation.
It's all going great.
Yep. He's Putin's favorite. The U.S. team, all the teams, Team USA visited the White House. And so the USA gymnastics contingent was there with Lori Hernandez, her second time, as far as we know, to the White House.
How did Lori get to be part of this?
Because Lori's Lori.
Because Lori's Lori. And you just want her around. Yeah.
Lori's Lori. I mean, Lori would have been there with which team after Rio? Did they go after Rio? Yeah, they went after Rio.
I mean, it wasn't like a COVID situation. So
oh, yeah, that's the Obama picture.
They wouldn't have gone.
Yeah, they have. Yeah. So Lori Hernandez was there. The tramp and rhythmic gymnasts were there. A few of the men went. Hezly was there too, which is so awesome. So yeah, I'm glad they got to do that. And then we have some.
Did you say Lori was there with the tramp?
The tramp. Trampoline athletes.
How dare you talk about Charlotte that way?
Charlotte didn't go. As far as I know. Maybe Charlotte went last time. What Olympics was Charlotte the alternate? Rio, right? Or no, 21 she was the alternate. Rio she would have made it. She was had the points, yeah. So stacking the rosters, new commits. We have Zoe Malomo to UCLA, Michelle Pineda. I love Michelle Pineda to UCLA. Her tumbling, you guys, so good. The Milton twins are going to LSU, and then Jennifer Williams of Sweden going to Stanford.
They heard Tanya Paulson was going to Cal, and they're like, we need a Swede.
You guys, all the years that I have interviewed the Nords, that's what I'm calling them, just anyone in the upper Europes. I've been like, so are you guys interested in college gymnastics? And I've always been like, oh, I don't know, let's see. And I'm always been like, you guys, look
how good your gymnastics is. Please
have you
do it.
Met yourself? It will be. And so we have 2 Nords now. We have one going to Cal, one going to Stanford. And so they're going to these super amazing schools too. And we get to see their beautiful gymnastics.
We have the domestic Nord, Kaija Tanskanen, who also competes for Finland, who is going to Missouri also. Yes.
Oh, we're spreading the Nord. All the Nords need to come. See, all we're missing now is an Iceland gymnast.
Oh my God. There are so many good options too.
Oh my God, so many good options. Okay. Jade Barbosa got married. So happy for her. That's lovely. Let's see. Okay. Oh, they should have a Philippines versus the Nords meet. That would be the most beautiful meet of all time. Oh my God.
I feel like that the Nords, that's too stacked versus the elites from the Philippines. But things don't have, life isn't fair. Things don't have to be fair.
It's true. This is a bummer that life isn't fair. Okay. I want to tell you guys that this show is brought to you by Club Gym Nerd. Have you heard of this? It's so cool. Basically, do you want to just hang out with us for an extra hour of podcast every week and ask us questions live or send them in for us to answer? You can do that. You get a whole extra podcast every week. And if you can't make it live, no problem. You can just add it to your favorite podcast player. This week, what did we talk about, Spencer? We talked about all the latest news.
Remember.
We dropped some stuff that apparently people didn't know about, and so they were like, "Wait, what? How do you know about this?" It's very fun. Still
talk about her electrician problems.
Yes, we talk about real life things. We talk about running a business things. We talk about trips. travel. Spencer sometimes shares like one nugget of his personal life.
But rarely.
So,
don't hold your breath. But Jessica will share 50 nuggets. So
I will. It's so fun, and we talk about whatever the latest news is. We follow up on questions from the show that week or the week before. So check it out. You can join. It's one of those things that, you also, there's perks. You get like a newsletter and you get discounts on a bunch of things and all of that stuff. So check it out at gymtastic at gmail.com is the email, and the place to join is gymtastic.com.
Yes.
And if you have any questions,
go to gymtastic@gmail.com thinking that's a website, because that is an email address.
Yeah. And of course, you get the satisfaction of filling your emotional chalk bucket, knowing that you are supporting the show. So we can bring you this amazing coverage. Speaking of which, I watched The Money Game.
You watched it?
Yes. I watched the first 2.5 episodes. Okay. So the first episode is excellent. I watched the first episode and I was like, oh my God, Spencer's going to kill me because we're going to have to make this a weekly segment because this is so good that I am so impressed with this. And then there's a lot of sports ball, and they just show people playing sports ball. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die. This is so boring. But it is actually well done. And if you're bored with the rest, watch the first episode because it's excellent. The first thing I did was look at like how much of a fluff piece is this going to be? Mm-hmm. So I looked at who are the executive producers on the money behind project like this, and also people that have some say. And so Shaq is an executive producer who's a famous basketball player, alum of LSU. And a lot of people that he's worked with. There's like so many executive producers on this. A lot of people contributed to this. I was shocked at how many, but I'm like, okay, Shaq. But it actually isn't a total fluff piece. I mean, it's mostly a fluff piece, but it does show some bad stuff. Like there is a quarterback who has a concussion, and then he gets cleared, and then says, and then he's like, but then the lights started going in the arena, and then I knew something was wrong. And then he's diagnosed with a very bad concussion, and it's like, okay, well, they don't state they missed this, but it definitely shows that this was they didn't do it looks from the evidence they didn't do the concussion protocol. The other thing is like, I feel like there's a little bit of bias in the way that they talk about NIL and how the laws passed, because they start talking about the Supreme Court decision, and then go backwards to the Ed O'Bannon case, which was the case. Remember, Ed O'Bannon was the guy who was playing a video game and was like, that's me. Wait, this is where the whole thing about before NIL, when you signed your scholarship deals for all schools, it said that the NCAA had your name, image, and likeness in perpetuity. Long after you're dead, they can make an AI of you talking to people, coaching their gymnastics. So he sued, and that kind of started the path of really getting these things, along with other stuff like Northwestern's football team isn't discussed in this. The biggest thing that I think isn't discussed, because this is what actually made states start passing laws, is California. Our governor passed the first NIL rule, which forced all the California schools to actually allow athletes to profit from the name, image, likeness. Then I think it was Florida that started next, and then that kicked off a bunch of other states, and then the NCAA acted. The other thing that I think was really interesting about this is they showed how, because you live in LA, so obviously you know what upfronts are, right?
You should explain for the people, but yeah.
I'm waiting for you to explain, because
you should explain.
Okay. Upfronts are basically when you're pitching a movie or a TV show or whatever, there's a season where all these people go and pitch to all the networks what they have, and they try to sell their shows. And LSU basically has this, as do a lot of other schools, but they basically have this for their athletes. So it's also called like a sponsorship conference or a sponsorship summit or a sponsorship auction is the other thing.
They called it an auction?
They don't say this in the documentary.
Okay.
They show it. But like, remember Coco?
It's a prettiness auction. Female athletes have fun. Everything's great.
Like when you're somebody like a Simone, you basically, host it yourself, and everyone, you're sitting on top, and all the advertisers are pitching you. This kind of thing, right? This kind of thing is like all the advertisers are there, and the companies and the athletes go and are able to talk to them and ask stuff. And like WWE was there and stuff like that. But it's again, endorsement fair is kind of what they have. And I was like, this is a big deal. And I think, lots of schools have this, but they showed it, and it was really interesting. They showed Sav giving advice to some, I don't know what he does, but he was like, yeah, I want to go to WWE. And then she was like, yeah, you should do that. I have friends that, gymnast friends who've done WWE. And he's like, okay, what I think is we should both go over there, and then I'll grab you and we'll do the people's elbow and just like smash the table together. And she's like, yeah, let's do it. So that was a Sav appearance, which we enjoyed. The other thing that was proven again, this is proven again and again, but as you know, Spencer, what do we say in gymnastics lands? You have to show it to grow it.
Can we stop? Yeah. Can we stop saying that maybe?
The evidence of this is also shown because they have the basketball player Angel Reese, who has a tampon sponsorship, by the way. Did you know that she actually went viral because of something she did in a game? She blocked someone with one shoe in her hand because her shoe fell off. And I was like, oh, that wouldn't have happened if it hadn't been on TV, if people hadn't seen that. And then I thought about Nedoroshic and how NBC made a big deal of him competing, and now he's a huge star. And that is again evidenced by how do you grow women's sports? You show this. The other thing is there was this athlete, Angel Reese, was able to trademark her own nickname, which is Bayou Barbie. Before, remember the days when Steve Penny and USA Gymnastics would trademark all the nicknames for the teams before the Olympics? And if anyone, if any fans made their own art, they would have them copyright stricken and taken down. That is the huge change that is so important USA Gymnastics doesn't do that now the way they did, but that is a huge change. The best part of this documentary, the most important thing in this, is what I'm going to tell you about next. Which, if there's any reason to love Jay Clark and what he's all about with sports, this is it. And this is, I asked him about NIL when they won at the press conference, and I said, so many schools are afraid of NIL and they thought it would ruin the sport. But you've embraced it. And here you are. What do you think about it? And he was like, yeah, it's great. It's only helped us. So here is a clip of Jay Clark. He's doing an interview, and then he's talking to Mary Claire Lauge, who is the now director of NIL at LSU, about what he said in the interview.
I think we're headed towards revenue sharing in 10 years. I think it'll be more along the lines of unionized labor. I didn't
want to talk about revenue sharing.
No. It's in the courts.
Well, that was how I felt. And then I got a little bit reprimanded.
Oh, did you?
No.
It's not really a secret anymore.
First of all, talking about, how this is going to be like unionized labor, how there's going to be revenue sharing, how this is in the courts. It's not a secret. This is all where it's going. This has been what has been pushed for a long time. And I love the realness of them showing this part where he's like, why would we not talk about it? It's in the courts. This is what people are arguing for. And his basically athletic director being like, yeah, that's what I believe too. But, they don't want us to talk about this because they don't, the implication being the school doesn't want a revenue share because all of us that live off of this won't get the giant inflated salaries that we have now.
We have to share money with other people. Ew.
Yeah. That's gross. So I thought, if you want to find a coach who's totally on your side with NIL, these are the kind of questions to ask. And there's other coaches who've talked this way, but I love that this is that this portion of discussion is in here. What did we learn in this documentary, Spencer? Let me tell you.
Tell me.
LSU,
you're the one who watched it.
LSU athletic budget is around $200 million. I also learned about that people they have two names for NIL, the real NIL and the fake NIL. Have you ever heard this before?
No, tell me.
So I didn't know there was a name for it. I know about it, but I was like, oh, so the real NIL is the ability for boosters to just pay the athletes,
Just
which
give me
is
the money.
what's always been going on for a million years. You want this person, you buy them a car, you buy their parents a house. Now you'll come to the school. That's the real NIL. The fake NIL is we're going to pay to license your image for t-shirts to sell at this retail store. Mm-hmm. That's the fake NIL. The real is, pay to play. I love that there's a name for this and everyone talks about this because, of course, that's what it is. And they do also talk about how basically it's the Wild West because there isn't a uniform law. All the states are operating under different laws, and the NCAA hasn't solidified it all. So one of these examples of like boosters paying for stuff is they show them having a fundraiser where people pay $2,000 to $10,000 to walk an athlete down the aisle to this fundraiser, and then it's an appearance fee, and then the athletes, are like kind of interviewed on stage. But it was so cringe, Spencer, because the thing they showed was like dudes, football players, I think, and there's some beauty queen that stands up and they're like, so you're going to pick, what's your best pickup line on this beauty queen? So she stands up in the audience and they have to say, it was so...
You deserve $100,000 if you're going to do that.
Oh my God, there's not
I
enough
wouldn't
money.
show up to that for under $100,000.
It was so cringe, but I did like one of the football players was just like, I feel like that's really cringe. So I would just say, hello, Miss blah, blah, blah. Would you like to go to dinner? And I was like, this guy. But, if you pay me $10,000, I'll give you my pickup lines for anybody. This reminded me too of when I was a student trainer at University of Washington in Seattle. There was a night where basically it was 2-a-days in the summertime. So everyone had been there all day long. This was the second practice. Everyone's so tired. All you want to do is go to sleep after second practice. They sold tickets to eat dinner with the UW football players. So we all go in to eat afterwards. This is the one time I actually fed the student trainers too. And everyone's so tired. They get their plate of food. And then there's this family who's so excited to talk to them and eagerly sitting at the table and just wants to ask them all these questions. These players are so tired. They haven't even had a chance to like shower yet. They're like eating. It was so awkward and cringe and weird. And that's the kind of stuff, remember, like when Steve Penny would host those, like when the USA Gymnastics did the tours and they would host those like receptions after the tour stops. So the athletes would be like starving. They just did the whole tour, the whole show, and then they'd want to eat and they would have crappy arena food for them. And then all these people want to talk to them and they're like, I literally just like, I need time to eat. It's just an invasion of the time of the athletes, I felt like. Anyway, we also found out that Livy Dunn, her average charge for a social media post is $125,000. Well, that was back last year, so I'm sure it's like $1 million now. But also, finally, you know who Jules is, right? No. Olivia's sister.
Okay.
I'm sure I've sent you videos of Jules before because Jules is her sister. Jules is brilliant. Jules is hilarious. And literally, I stopped the money game for a second, and I was like, "Oh, do you know who this is, Coop? That's her sister. Her sister's like, she's so funny. She's like the one that is like doing the videos and all that stuff." And then Olivia explains exactly what I just said to Coop, and it's like, she's funny. And the part that I loved about this is Jules is like, yeah, I'm the funny one. It's not Olivia. I'm the one that went to public school. She didn't have any character development. I was like, this is why Jules is the best, and she's so funny. Her social media handle is something like the other sister, the forgotten sister. Like she's just she's awesome. I mean, and then she goes on to like compliment Olivia, obviously, but basically they talked about how this became so overwhelming. It's like a family business now. And her sister was pre-med, but now she works for her. Like she graduated, she works for her, and
no more stupid being a doctor or anything.
No.
Like just get $125,000 a post.
Exactly. So I was glad Jules got her time to shine in that because she's hilarious. So I'm going to keep watching this because it is really interesting and I'm enjoying it. And I love following this. How is the money working? Who's getting it? How is it affecting people? I was offended, of course. There's a part where this one athlete who's on a full scholarship was like, this is like a whole other job. I have school, then I have, competing. That's a whole job. And then I have this, it's a whole job. And I was like, yeah, like most people that also have to do a job and their sport and also work. So, but I was like, everyone's different. Like some people are supporting their whole family with their scholarship too. So I'm like, I don't know her circumstances, but I am, I have never recovered from my years of having to do effort. Like get up at 6:30 and you don't get home till 12:30 at night to stay alive and graduate. So anyway, yeah, I'm so glad that everyone can make money now, and we have a documentary about it. So I'm looking forward to watching this, and I will update you guys more on it. This is on Amazon Prime, and yeah, I'm enjoying it. And you can fast forward through the things where they play the sports balls, or you can enjoy it if you like that kind of thing. And it is there's men in it, but like they are a fraction, and women are the majority of it, which I really enjoy. You watched the Szombathely World Cup.
We did our watching assignments.
Yes, and I watched some of the highlights from it. So I want you to tell me all the things. What were you impressed by?
I'm going to start by running down like who won, because apparently people like that information.
I want to know these things.
The like what actually happened rather than just like here's a floor routine I liked. So on vault, Daria Yasinskaya of Ukraine won the vault title. It was very exciting because it was a last-second D upgrade where she whipped out a Yurchenko 1.5 instead of a Yurchenko full, and that's what she needed to win over Greta Moyer of Hungary. So it was actually very exciting. So for a women's vault final at a Challenge Cup, I was like, "Look at you being all exciting!"
Oh my God! Wait, wouldn't it be cool if they changed the format of finals like this for vault? So you do one vault. You see what everyone else has vaulted, and then you know what you need on your second vault. So your second vault in finals, we could have more of this. You guys, I fixed vault finals.
She fixed it. And we had Charlotte Booth won bars, bringing the wow factor with her toe-on Tkachev half to Yezhova. And just general difficulty, like in the dismount, which we'll talk about. I have some thoughts. On beam, we had Tanya Paulson, who didn't win with the D, but as much as she won with just the like lovely gymnastics. So even though she dismounted with just a layout, and otherwise I would be annoyed, I'm like, I can't stay mad at you. It's too nice to look at. And she won floor as well, doing the exact same thing. Just like, what I do well is like move with elegant posture. So I'm going to have a theme of floor where it's just I move elegantly, and everyone's going to be obsessed with it. And everyone was like, yep, that's right. You nailed it. You got it right. For the men, the big star of the entire World Cup was Christopher Massaros, who is a full adult now and everything, because we've been watching him at the Szombathely World Cup since the second he was eligible to compete as a senior. And now he's like, I'm ready to win things. So he won 2 golds for the home team. It was also a great meet for Italy's event specialists. Eduardo De Rosa won 2 golds. And Italy showed that they can, similar to criticisms of the US, where people would say like the US can't do pommel horse, and the US would say like, actually we have really good pommel horse workers, they just don't always fit on a team unless it's the Olympics and Stephen Nedorossi gets on the team, and you're like, see, it was right. Similarly, Italy, gold and silver on pommel horse, showing they can actually pommel horse and have people.
This is why I love the World Cups, because it's event specialists. This is where you'll get to see someone do a Brett Schneider. Like crazy stuff happens. I mean, I'm not saying that, pommel horse is that exciting, but when it's this time. But sometimes, and there are also a lot of layouts where I was like, okay, or like a full on floor, but some beautiful gymnastics, and then also a full.
Yeah, that's basically what you're going to get at a Challenge Cup. And then some people doing some really risky things that you're like, oh, but I mean, exciting, but also like you shouldn't have.
Yeah, like stop.
Also please don't. But mostly we need to talk about Jessica's favorite topic, the breakout stars who we love now, who didn't win, but are more importantly, won Jessica's heart. So first of all, I want to talk about Keisha Lockert of Norway, who is a new senior this year. We saw her in the floor final demonstrate the artistry checklist, basically.
Yes.
It was such a Jessica routine. I had to send it to her because I was like, you need to watch this one.
Like fluidity, theme, like everything, use of all the body parts.
Oh, there's so much use of all the body parts. She's
not
like,
background
there's
music.
No chance you can get
Oh
that.
my God, it's so good. She's the next one. We don't have. Do we have a Norwegian in NCAA? We have to get her recruited now. Lockert, Norway. This is who you want. We need to know what
of her routine before her last pass where she like has a magical orb in her hands and she's like shooting it to the different parts. I was like, there's something actually happening that you can interpret in this routine. Like I want everyone who choreographs elite routines in the US to just like sit with their eyes open and watch this routine and be like, this is the checklist. This is what they want.
You want them to be like, what is that famous movie where they try to
Clockwork Orange?
Clockwork Orange. You want to Clockwork Orange the choreographers. It's not the choreographers, it's the gymnasts. The choreographers some of them are doing a great job. They just don't have a lot of clay to work with. It's a hard clay that
everyone has to watch it. Let's all watch it together.
Yes.
But I think most everyone in this final really got the lesson. It was an enjoyable final to watch choreographically, which is a rare thing for me to say.
I feel like this is where the artistry checklist has worked for the teams that need every 10th and are just like, I don't really care because I can do all the tumbling to make up for those, like, 1.2 that you can get off 1.6.
Yeah, this is Simone gets artistry deductions.
Yeah. Lots of artistry deductions, but she did try this time. She did a lot of out of the box. But anyway, tell me about South Africa.
Okay, so Alejandro Morales Martinez of South Africa was power tumbler as a junior and has switched to artistic, and very exciting raw potential to watch on vaulted floor where she has the amplitude. She has the ability. Like her pike position on vault was like a Kennedy Baker doing a pike double Arabian open. It was that open. And I was like, oh, this is a layout. Like in 4 seconds, this is a layout, what you're doing. So like as she can add the difficulty and find the landings, I think it's really exciting because you see that like a double Arabian on floor was easy for her. And it's like, we're just going to keep going from there. So that was also really exciting to watch. On the men's side, Lorenzo Bonicelli, who is not like brand new, but he doesn't make Italian teams on floor, like put him on team men's artistry. The arm positions, the hand positions, the posture. It was like, this is what I want to watch. You're actually performing floor like you didn't wake up in a ditch and just walked into the meet like most of the people, even very good British floor workers, walk into the meet like they slept in a ditch and then show up and do great tumbling. But like, the performance, and he won silver on high bar.
I love this. I mean, the Italians can serve some floor. So
yeah, I mean, I'm not putting him like top of the Italian list because we have,
world champions and whatnot.
But I loved watching his floor routine.
Yay. Were there some moments that were troubling?
Oh boy, were they. Especially the beam final. Oh my God. Some of the worst broadcast directorial camera position choices I've ever seen in a meet. Like close-ups of feet during elements, like a side aerial. We didn't see the side aerial or a side semi. I don't know because all I could see was the feet. But it was like, you're doing that during a skill. And then we got like crotch close-ups.
Just like Paris. Great.
Feet, intentional right in there. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Immediately fired. This makes me so pissed. And we've talked about this for years, but I love how Switzerland just made a list of like, here's what you're allowed to show and here's what you're not. And you won't get a photography credential if you post these kind of photos. We need the same thing for video feeds. Period.
What's interesting is that like around the last 2 routines, they stopped doing it. And I was like, oh, did someone go to talking to? Because that would be good.
I wonder if Ollie did this live, if he was like, if I see that one more time, or if he was like, I wonder how much power Ollie wields now.
It's not enough. Whatever it is, it's not enough.
Yeah, it's not enough because Ollie would never allow this to happen. But there are a
very professionally and politely did not acknowledge any of that.
Yes. I just mean, did he throw something at someone? Or did he text someone at the FIG table?
So gross.
Like, stop this immediately. Yeah. Okay.
So the other thing, and another thing about that stuck in my craw, we have to do something about the bars dismounts. Because 6 of 8 people in the bars final at a World Challenge Cup dismounted with a flyaway or a double tuck. A lone double tuck not connected. That's not up to the level of a Challenge Cup competition, but the code lets you do it because there's no composition requirement for dismounts anymore. You just don't get the 2/10 bonus, and you're counting that A or B skill, which a lot of people in a World Challenge Cup are okay with, but it's not. It's the reason I was fine with Tanya Paulson not winning bars, even though her routine is lovely, because she dismounted with a flyaway and Charlotte Booth dismounted with a double layout. And I'm like, that's a lot more difficult and you're going for a lot more and you deserve the reward for that.
Yeah. I like the one hand, like, obviously I don't want anyone to do anything that they're going to get hurt doing. Right. So nobody wants that. But what's the point of requirements? Like, if you can't do it, you should make the safe decision and don't do it and stay healthy. But there were more than usual amount of B skills being done at this competition in a major, where there should be a D or an E.
Yeah. And it's like a lot of these gymnasts are capable, but are making the code smart decision. So the code is the one that needs to adjust.
Right. And like, good for them. Like, code whore it out. That's like the point.
Right. It's
like,
not like
sports.
It's not the gymnasts making the like a bad decision. They're making a smart
decision. Yeah.
The code that needs to adjust to be
Code
like, that
hacking.
smart decision is not what we want. So
Yeah.
we're not going to do that. Also, not a problem, but a question. Active English language lyrics in Lenny Bola's floor routine, where they're just saying, I've got it. And you can hear that. And I'm like, so, okay, fine, whatever. It's just like someone saying, I got it. But like, okay, what's the state? What are we doing?
I'm so worried we're moving towards lyrics. I will riot if there's lyrics in music. It will make me so upset. Next thing you know, we'll have lip syncing and costumes. Yeah, we cannot have this. I do not like it at all. Okay, were the Swedes there? Because there was an odd sound. Not the Swedes.
Swedes are not the cowbell people.
The Swiss.
I mean, and really nice try.
We're gonna get so many letters.
Really good try at a transition. I love the effort that you put in. You're contributing so much to the team with your enthusiasm, but it is the Swiss and not the Swedes who do the cowbell. But what I wanted to say,
that's what I meant,
is that the timing bell sounded like an actual cowbell, and I appreciated that very much. We do that more.
I like that.
Also, there was an excellent moment on floor when Mila Prpic fell on a double pike, but immediately her floor music had a cash register sound effect, like cha-ching, like she fell on a double pike, and it was like cha-ching. You nailed it. You're in the money. You fell on a double pike and are not going to get medalist money from this World Challenge Cup. Your $4 that you might have gotten otherwise. Also, we had weird thing. Women's vault final day 1.
Yeah.
Guard of firefighters just sitting there near where the athletes were starting their run. And I was like, great, keep it going for the men's. But then they weren't there for the men's. They were over by women's beam. And I'm like, if a guard of firefighters is going to be anywhere, they need to be next to the men's vault final. Like, that is your purpose.
Most
and
dangerous
they
place.
ended up being required because of Chu of Taiwan, who attempted Yurchenko 2.5, and it did not go great. And locked leg landing on both legs kind of thing. And it was weird because he got up and walked kind of fine for like a couple feet. And then he was like, nope. I am down on the ground. Get me all the firefighters. Please come over.
Yeah. Yeah. High bar and men's vault are where you need emergency specialist people to be on hand.
I do like that Taiwan really went for it at this competition. I think it was Sue on P-bars who was just like, I'm going to go for all the pirouettes, and fell immediately, but was like, I feel like the entire Taiwanese team was like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go to Hungary and get weird. And I do appreciate that as a concept, even though sometimes it can be like a vault injury. That's not great. Yeah.
But, it is, an Amanar is going to Amanar. And this is what can happen when you do an Amanar. There's something else I was going to ask you, and now it totally fell out of my brain. Damn it. This happens sometimes.
Well, speaking of the men's vault final, we did get the
Oh, wait, I remember.
Okay, go ahead.
I just want to say, we are, criticizing the code and the lack of difficulty in some of the routines, but also we know this is the end of the Trent. This is the end of the Olympic cycle. It's after the Olympics. This is, there's like 3 last hurrah meets of the year until the new code. So, people doing what they can, enjoying themselves.
An opportunity, like most of the gymnasts here did not go to the Olympics, so this is like your opportunity. This is your meet. This is your season.
Exactly.
But it is a very weird schedule in an Olympic year with the Challenge Cups, because we have like nothing for a ton of time, and then one in Hungary in October, and then it's over. We talked about Charlotte Booth winning bars, which was great. We talked about Tanya Paulson winning beam. Even though she dismounted with a layout, it didn't matter because it was too pretty. And that's basically what happened on floor as well. Really lovely tumbling. Like, her double layout is so enjoyable to watch in the air. She didn't have her best landings, but still got a 7.9 E-score and won, which I think the lesson of is just like be Tanya Paulson. Yeah. Just like walk around with your posture and your artistry and just be like that. And then that's how you win. It's very simple. Just be Tanya Paulson.
I saw that.
Or be like Krisztian Berki, because he knew exactly what he was doing. Is all I'm going to say at this competition. He knew exactly what he was doing in that.
Okay, describe exactly what was happening, because he was just there wearing a suit. There wasn't like a cutout of Berki following the gym.
Krisztian Berki was there wearing a suit, and that's news. Just in general, I do love, one of my favorite things is athletes when they're forced to wear suits. Because they're just like, I don't like this. I don't feel comfortable in this much clothing. I want to be in athletic shorts and that's it. And there's too much happening and they're always pulling at it and it doesn't really fit. And it's one of my favorite things. But there was like a men's suit ad following the gymnasts around on the men's side, just like for suits. It was just always there in the background of whatever event they were on. It was just like an anthropomorphic ad for suits that was following them around. But Berki was in the suit. And as Ollie observed, quote,
Ollie Hogbin, the greatest commentator of all time, along with
impeccable marrying of pocket square and tie. So
Ollie Hogbin, everyone.
Paint a picture for you. I don't know what will.
I saw that Mongolia was competing at this meet, and I was like, oh my God, what crazy deep dive facts is Ollie going to find about the Mongolian gymnasts? So
Mongolia, Damden Dorj of Mongolia won a medal on vault, which was Mongolia's first medal. And I did love watching how purely excited Ollie was for Mongolia to win its first medal, because he is a dork like me and enjoys firsts and records and things you can compile.
Oh, the data. I'm on, how I'm always on a like, where do we need to have our second headquarters for gymnastic in Europe, just in case we need to Handmaid's Tale, get out of here. And Ljubljana is beautiful. And now I'm like, there's like no World Cups there
They used to always have
them. And I looked at the schedule and there aren't any. So I hope they're coming, because I feel like we need to check it out, because I'm big on Ljubljana now. So I'm always looking at the spots.
This is Jessica's 2025 mission is second, observing Challenge Cups purely for the real estate.
Yes, exactly. Is this my favorite town to visit? Yes, it should host a World Cup. We have a mini commission about NCAA gymnastics programs, best and worst for everything except gymnastics. This is from our World Champion Level Club member, Allison R. Allison gave us a whole bunch of categories, which would constitute a full commission episode. So we're going to do the best we can with a mini commission.
And in the categories where we really don't know how to rank teams, we might just talk about them conceptually, just to let you know.
So she wanted to know the top 5 and the worst 5 for these categories. So I want to start talking about academics, because I went down like a deep dive and had ChatGPT put things together, and then I used another thing, and then I like fact checked what ChatGPT did and made sure the links were right. And like part of the thing with this is like you can rank the schools by like you can use the US News and World Report, you can use the athlete graduation rates, which is something that has to be reported to the NCAA, and then the NCAA also has their own configuration that they made up for themselves, which is an academic success rating, and that takes 6 years into account instead of 4 years like the federal standard. But the problem with all of these is that and deciding how to rank them is gymnasts across the board everywhere have the highest graduation rates of any sport. It's like, I think it's fencing and gymnastics. It's like 98% on average, 99%. So if you want to talk about, you know, the best ranked schools, we can talk about, you know, Stanford, UCLA, Cal, Michigan. Those schools are really highly ranked.
There's an Ivy League also in gymnastics.
Yeah, Yale.
Like Yale.
Right.
Yeah.
Yale is
so
up
you
there,
you have your reputation schools. And
Yeah.
like the top ranked public schools are always like Cal, Michigan, UCLA, those times.
And then also we can talk about some of the poorly ranked schools like Southern Utah University, the Flippin' Birds. They are ranked 293rd by the US News and World Report. West Virginia is also ranked low. Illinois State is 219th. But then like West Virginia has a 94% athlete graduation rate, which is super high. So this is just why it's hard
It's very difficult to actually rank. Because I think it's very difficult because it's so much about what you make out of it at a university, like especially at a big university. Like you can pick some BS majors. I would say in general, the SEC schools have a reputation for being sports schools rather than academic schools. Those are also huge universities where like you can major in couches if you want to, probably. And or like what was the, you know, in the Georgia Gym Dogs Under the Lights, the greatest movie ever made, documentary about the Georgia 2008 team. Like, what was Coupette's majoring in, where she was just like cutting out pictures from magazines?
Interior design.
Oh, okay. But she was just cutting, they were in class with her and she was just like cutting out pictures from magazines. I have no problem with this. Go to school for why you want to go.
Yes. I value interior design so much. Why do we go on, like, we pick places we're going to stay on these trips and like hotels or Airbnbs? Like, it has to be beautiful. Thank you, interior designers. But yeah.
You can have lowly ranked schools or they have, you know, a reputation for whatever, but they also have like some dramatic science research that's cutting edge that's going on. And if you want to get involved in that, you're going to have an academically rigorous experience at a school that might not have the reputation for that. So this is
an example of that is like I went to San Francisco State, but we also had a NASA research facility there. They like those are the women scientists that I would walk to their cars at 11:59 at night before they shut everything down, because I was a security escort for school, of course. And so I would talk to the NASA scientists and they would tell me about their research while I walked in their cars. Like, this is, you know, it depends. It depends what you want to make out of it. And also sometimes just like going to school and graduating is success in itself. And so it really doesn't matter what you got, the experience.
Or you could look at the universal joke, which is whatever school has the most academic All-Americans is the worst academic school, because all these people ain't getting A's in their classes. So if they are, something's up.
Yeah.
It doesn't always work out, but you can look at, you know, you can look at that if you want to.
So facilities, it's really hard to rank the worst 5 facilities. And one of the things that I would say is like, is worst, they don't even have a gym on campus, because there are schools like that. But Sac State now has a gym on campus, but they didn't for 30 years. LIU doesn't have a gym on campus. They have to drive there. There are many schools like this. LIU just got one, but it depends. Or is some of the schools, they have a terrible facility. Like, think of where the Michigan men train in a closet for all these years. It would have been better if they drove 30 minutes and actually, you know, worked out in a real club gym. But I think in terms of the best facilities, there are some clear winners in the top 5. So Oregon State,
LSU's
Palace, Georgia, the original Palace, Michigan, one of the original Palaces, and then Clemson. It's amazing. And now even Clemson has those lifts. So you can just like push a button and boop, you have a whale mat that lifts up. So it's even with, the vault or the beam. More gyms are adding those now. Like,
you wonder why Clemson has a successful first season.
Yeah, they have all the things.
They got some things.
Yeah. And for me, facilities, if they need to have all 3 landing surfaces for every event. So you need to be able to land on resi, in a loose foam pit, or on the regular landing surface for every event. That's just like a minimum for me. The other thing is that I'm really impressed with, there are very few gyms that have the loose foam covered, and LSU just did that. All their pit foam is now covered. So you don't get those little pieces of pit foam in your nose and in your lungs and, all over your skin and stuck to your leotard. So, but then again, as one of the things that I looked up, because this is what I want to say about this. We've been talking about doing rankings like this for a very long time. And going through the process of doing this research, which I spent most of the day on yesterday, I was like, okay, we need to finally do this. And like one of the things I looked at is I was like, okay, I'm looking at facilities and I'm looking at academics, but also like the things that show you if it's like a healthy overall place to live, or like, I was like, what are the actual, the sexual assault report statistics? Is this a safe city or town or school to live in? Because now we have the FBI actually started tracking those reports in addition to the Clear report. And then like, what are the cancer rates in this area? Because I was so happy to see what LSU did with the pit foam. But then I'm like, well, also this is a massive, they're in Cancer Alley. But does it matter if you're only there for, 4 years? So those statistics are things I looked at too. And basically I would we're going to work on a way that you can decide what's important to you and rank things. Like this place looks the best possible place, but the highest Cleary Act reporting numbers. So maybe not. Perks.
Whichever schools have the most money.
Yes. Or the biggest.
And the least interest in compliance.
Yes. Like,
like with NIL, like nothing even matters anymore.
Yeah. The perks are basically, I was looking for this. I was looking at what schools had the highest budgets, the athletic department budget, and then what portion doesn't go to football. What's left over? Oh, there's 10% of the $200 million budget for the rest of the sports. I think one of the things that's important for the perks is, do they provide you I know she's basically talking in NIL here, like free swag, travel, cars, etc. I mean, that's like a year-by-year sponsor thing. But for the NIL, I think, do they have a dedicated staff who's going to help market you? And part of the thing is like, you can't expect to be marketed. Like not everyone's an Ian Gunther who's like great. He's really fun and great at gymnastics, but also he's super creative and has all this compelling content. But anyway, it's, do they have a dedicated, if that's important to you, something like that, where they will just procure cars for you for lease for 6 months, like Utah did. Teams that look like they're having fun, Spencer. Top 5 or 5?
I won't rank because I think it's a lie. Looking like you're having fun is a lie. Lori Hernandez looked like she was having a fine time with Maggie Haney. You wouldn't have known if you just watched the meets. So that's my teams that look like they're having fun. I don't trust it. I don't trust joy, obviously, as a concept. But also, I don't trust when teams look like they're having fun, because I feel like that's very easily an act.
Yep.
These are good actresses.
Right. You're the whole point of gymnastics, which sometimes the men's side doesn't understand, is that you're supposed to make it look easy, not look like you're about to die when you're doing it. Carlos Yulo, this is why he is a 2-time Olympic champion. But like,
how many times have teams been like, had to have a meeting before the meet? Like, we know everything's going terribly. We know we're all upset. We all hate our coach. We just need to go out there and have a great time. Like, that happens all the time. That meeting happens all the time.
Yep.
All the time. And so you can't like go by how you look like you're having fun.
Yeah, it's the same thing for inclusive culture. We don't find out until people leave school. And then sometimes even they feel really good about it. And then it takes them being an adult, processing things, experiencing things differently in life and being like, oh, this probably wasn't healthy. I think
things have gotten, on the topic of inclusive culture, I will say I think things have gotten a lot better.
Way better.
In general. In terms of schools, like several years ago, I would have said, oh, I would put LSU low on inclusive culture. I think there's been a concerted effort to be more open in terms of like, because I mean, not that long ago, it was like the team's all going to pray right now before. And you interviewed Ruby Harold.
It's still like that, but
yeah, I mean, you interviewed Ruby Harold.
Yeah.
Several years ago, and she was like the biggest adjustment, and the thing was like the faith of the team and how how important that was and how she had to adjust to that being an LSU gymnast. And I feel like, but even in terms of like Sav Shanehair being special assistant to the head coach or whatever her title is this season, I think that's a change.
Yeah,
I think that's a cultural change in terms of moving toward inclusivity that we're seeing more teams recognize, and it can be very cynical. It can be like, as for recruiting, I need to project that we are open to, like, we're not closed to anyone who might be a really good gymnast. Like, I'm not saying it's coming from the goodness of someone's heart.
Yeah.
It can come from practicality and the want to be great. But I see externally more inclusivity in teams that seemed exclusive in the past.
Yeah. The way there's so many more out gymnasts now. Healthy. Good. Not there. So this is not too injured, great rehab facilities. They're really good to injured gymnasts. I feel like this one is really hard to answer because the gymnasts are afraid to lose scholarships. So we don't necessarily know unless someone has an outwardly obvious injury. Like there's people that compete with fractured backs all the time and you don't know that because you can't see it. So you can see when someone's in a boot, you can see when someone's in a neck brace. If they don't tell them to take it off because you're on TV, put it back on after this. But and a lot of times you don't know because you have to wait till people go through the administrative process and they make their complaints. And then it goes to the Title IX, the office. And then you have to wait for the whole thing to happen. And there's, then people have to be willing to come forward publicly to know if it's really a healthy place. But I would say one of the things that's really important looking at these schools is I was looking at which places are the athletic trainers and physical therapists, not employees of the athletic department, but employees of a medical facility or the university. So they're separate. They don't answer to the athletic department, same place the coaches answer to. And there weren't many. That it was very rare that to find. In fact, I think I only found one of those. But in terms of really good training rooms that are ridiculous, I think part of having a great training room is it needs to be the training room should be in the gym, or you should be able to have your treatments in the gym. And that is also pretty rare. LSU has it. Wait, I made a list. I have a whole data spreadsheet, you guys.
You're ready.
I have a whole document. It is, let me see. I think Alabama has it. Oregon State has it. I looked at that specifically. Georgia has it. Florida, Michigan, all the palaces, have it built in. But, it sucks if you have to, to get your treatment, you have to walk 30 minutes or whatever, to get your treatment. And then the ratio of trainers to athletes, it's supposed to be like 50 athletes per athletic trainer, but gymnastics, that's so unrealistic. It's so unrealistic. You need like 3 trainers for
your 20 athlete roster.
The 20 athlete roster. Yeah. Another question was who gives food to athletes, and I couldn't find this for everybody, but I did see that Alabama, Oklahoma, Georgia, UCLA, Florida, and Michigan have food for athletes. I think that's super important, actually. I I just knowing like all the stories about before when athletes couldn't be given food unless it was like a game day or a meet day or they were traveling like a per diem. I love now that there's, and especially like,
there was the time when the Oklahoma had to, one Oklahoma team that had to report that they had given too much pizza. Yes. And they had to report that as a violation, that they had like exceeded the required amount of pizza. Like exceeded that's how the pizza limit. Weird the rules are. Or
yeah. But it's hard to know who doesn't do. I mean, I think about like living in dorms, which is horrible, and I never did it. No, I did. I lived in a dorm at Mills for one semester, which I actually love because we all got our own room and it was very nice, which is why I left because it was too expensive. But if you're an athlete, you weren't going to make the meal times, like that 2-hour period where you can eat breakfast, lunch, or if you're an athlete, you're not going to make those times. So it's important to have something where they can always pick up food and have fuel and get their supplements and all of their nutrition, and it's all taken care of, and it's not an extra cost to them, all of that kind of stuff. So long story short, we will get you answers.
We don't know on a lot of things because it's impossible to know as an outsider a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. But you have inspired, and we have now begun the long-term project that we have been thinking of working on of categorizing these schools in a way that people can pick what's important to them and sort through the schools that are the best and the worst. But the thing like inclusive culture and like happiness, yeah, that's when people have to actually go and visit and get to know people and see what it's actually like.
And interview the alums.
Interview the alums. Yeah. So if you want a mini commission like this one that inspires us to do a whole project, you can join Club Gym Nerd at the world champion level at gymcast.com. And thank you so much, Allison, for all of your support. And I hope we answered some of your questions. I did. Oh, I forgot. This is the most important part. Obviously, in terms of the perks and health, I looked up which schools have a hyperbaric chamber available to the athletes. And the schools are Alabama, Oklahoma, Georgia, Florida, and LSU that I know of, that I could find. But, I mean, this is the key to recovering fast. I'm just telling you. So, if you have questions, feedback, anything like that for us, you can reach us at gymcast@gmail.com, or we have a forum so you can chat with other people. There are some people that want to organize a fundraiser, some hurricane relief, because we had this huge hurricane in, I don't even know all the states. All the states that were affected.
The southern United States.
The southern United States. Now we have into the almost northern United States. And now we have another one that currently right now as we record is a category 5 heading to Florida. So I feel like let's learn the lessons from Katrina and everyone leave. That is my wish. Trains, automobiles, planes, whatever you have to do, please get out of there. And if we can preemptively start working on a fundraiser, someone start organizing that in the forum, we have some people that are willing to do the work on the ground. So stay safe, everyone. We are thinking of you. Please get out of there. Yeah, we will talk about this more and all of your feedback about this episode on Behind the Scenes, which is the most fun show we do every week. I love Behind the Scenes. So we'll see you guys on Friday at noon Pacific for Behind the Scenes. You can send your questions in or join us live. And until then, take off on gay, split on rights. Thanks for listening.